Sweet. Welcome to the Reseller Island podcast. This is Jake and Sunny. Welcome to the island. Today, we just wanted to talk a little bit about promoted listings, what we do with them, what you guys may want to do with them, and if you should promote your listings at all. So, Sunny, are you currently promoting your listings, or what are you doing?
Not as much. I did get back to it, and 3 is my lucky and favorite number, so that's what I've been using, 3%.
Yep, 3%. And do you do that on all of your listings, or just some of them, or?
For the things I have right now, yeah.
Okay, so your whole store is promoted at 3.
Yeah, I use the simple bulk promoted plan.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, same with me. So I think I have 1,568 listings this morning. And all of them,
1,568.
yep. At one point I had 3,000, hit 3,000, but my store's been shrinking.
That's good.
Yeah, so I promote my whole store at 2.6%. A lot of items don't need to have promoted listings to sell. Other items definitely do need to be promoted to sell, but I don't want to like take the time to go, oh, let's promote this one, let's not promote this one. I just put all of them at a flat 2.6%, and that works really well for me.
Yeah, what's the most you've raised that up to, your
I mean, you
percentage?
can do. I've seen a YouTuber promote it 100%, and so you just you'd lose money every transaction, but yeah, you can do as high as you want to. There's I know a few guys that sell golf clubs, and they do 40% promoted listings because they're able to get golf clubs from recycling landfills and things like that, and they get their golf clubs for like 20 cents to $5, and then they sell them for $60 to 100, and they promote it 40%, and they're okay just making $5 or $6 and just moving them. I don't recommend that. I don't think that's a great business model, but it can definitely work for some people.
The good old turn and burn.
Turn
But
and
what
burn.
have you had your highest percentage of at?
2.6. It's never been above 2.6.
I once
Yep.
for a
So,
while, for like a month, tried at 10%, and it was
uh-huh.
pretty good. That's when I had a lot more items, and I still don't have a lot of items, but that was like the most I had, like around 420 something.
Yeah.
And I still did good. It was only 10%. And I started thinking about this afterwards. I started doing people like, I would never do 10%. But
Hmm.
then if you list an item, say at $50, and then you start doing discounts of 10%, and then you start lowering the price,
Yep.
I'm okay with doing a 10% ad, because somehow I'm gonna lower it if it ends up being an item or items that stick around too long.
Yeah. Yeah. But then you run into, if you accept an offer. So if you have that $50 shirt and it's being promoted at 10%, you're given an extra five, and someone only offers you $32. So now you're paying an extra $3.20, which is still okay, but then it eats into your margin a little bit. But I'm totally with you. Like, a lot of people really stress about the things in front of them instead of the trickle down effects. So it's
Yeah.
like, some people absolutely will not promote at even 5%. But if you had 10,000 items and you're selling 7 per day or 17 per day or whatever your number is, and then you promote it 5%, and if that increased your sales by 600%, and now you're making tens of thousands of dollars every month instead of thousands per month, you're only giving up 5% to do that. But some people, there's just this mental block where they're not, like, if you had any sort of company where you had a product or a service and you could spend a few $100s in advertising to make tens of thousands of dollars, I mean, every business person would do that. If you were trying to sell, if you had tens of thousands of those mugs that you just drank from, you would definitely spend $600 in Facebook ads if it resulted in $17,000 in sales. And that's what a 5% promoted listing does, is you spend $600 to get like $20,000 worth of worth of product moving. So yeah, I mean, the math wasn't there completely, but if you spend 10,000, if you sell $10,000 and you're only at a 5% promotion rate, that's only $500 to make 10,000 in revenue. That's worth it to me.
Yeah, that is worth it to me. I am working on raising my bar with things that I'm doing, and something I've been talking about for I think today's 37 days with my daily vlog of organizing my mess. But at the same time, I know being organized is good, but I have so much stuff and I have to move it to where I am going to be ramping up my numbers. But I'm just trying to get this straight to be in that smooth flow of listing and getting the engines going, feeding the
Hmm.
beast of eBay and the two other platforms that I use.
Feeding the beast. But yeah, when it comes to promoted listings, I definitely recommend that people use them. I don't recommend dynamic promoted listings, and I don't recommend for the average user advanced promoted listings. We don't want to talk about advanced promoted listings today. We'll talk about it on another podcast, but we want to just talk about dynamic and standard promoted listings. So just very quickly, most of us know what dynamic listing promoted listing is, but basically dynamic is eBay using data from their marketplace chooses the ad rate you spend depending on the item or the category. And they use that with your competitors. So if your competitors are promoting at 3%, then if you use dynamic, then you'll start promoting at 3%. But what happens a lot of time is your competitors will see that you're using 3%, so they'll up theirs to 3.5 or 4. And then next time you use dynamic, it will automatically put yours at 4. And then everyone starts to creep up to 5 or 6. And then you using dynamic will just go to 5 or 6. And then eventually it gets to a point where there's like a rejection, which in most major categories, at one point a few months ago, people were reporting in certain categories that their dynamic rate was like 16%, even 21%, which is getting pretty wild. But like I said, I have a couple friends that do the golf clubs that they promote between 30 and 50%, which is nuts, especially for an item that big. Just doesn't make sense to me at all. But yeah, so what happens is everyone just kind of inches up and inches up and inches up, and then there's a price rejection, and then it goes down a little bit, and then it kind of stabilizes right here. And that's what ends up happening with dynamic promoted listing. Another thing that you can do is you can set a cap rate. So like if your category, if the dynamic is at like 14%, but you're not willing to spend more than 8%, then you can just cap it at 8%. And you'll see a lot of results underneath what the market average is and what the market top is. But yeah, I just don't recommend using dynamic promoting on any of your listings really.
Yeah, I don't either. I did try it when it first came out, or at least when I first started being aware of it, but I had it very low. It was like 1% start, but
Uh-huh.
then my max was like 5%. And
Yeah.
at the time, sure, I have it there. It doesn't guarantee sales. You could have 20% and still not have sales off of items, depending on what you have and what people are looking for. So it's like thrifting and sourcing. It's all random. You never know until you try it out.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting stuff. But yeah, so back to what I do on all my listings. I do 2.6%. A ton of people always ask me like why 2.6? That's such a weird number. So I started promoting my listings pretty early into my eBay career. And then at that time, the minimum was 1%. And I wanted to be slightly above the lowest of the fold. So I promoted all my listings at 1.1%. Then after a few months, I upped it to 1.6%. A few months after that, they upped it to a minimum of 2%. So I bumped mine up to 2.1%. A few months after that, I bumped mine up to 2.6%. What I recommend other people doing is I actually recommend not using promoted listings if you are an absolute beginner. I recommend learning how to sell items, what it takes to actually sell them without promotions, tinkering with prices, tinkering with your titles, tinkering with discounts and things like that, tinkering with offers, and see what things truly sell for. And then promoted listings, in my eyes, aren't to sell items, but to increase the velocity of your sales. So what I recommend everyone doing is selling your first 100, 200, 300, 500 sales without promotions. And then once you kind of have that foundation, I would start at the minimum of 2%, track that for a week or two, see how sales are going. If you like the increased velocity, you can stay there. If you'd like to increase the velocity a bit more, you can go up by 0.5% until you get to a point where you're comfortable. Most people that try this strategy that I've talked about, because I talk about it a lot on my channel, a lot of people report to me that they usually stop at about 4.5 to 5%. It's kind of the sweet spot where people are like, oh, I like the amount of sales I'm getting and how much extra I'm giving to get them. That's kind of where people, it's between like 4 and 7%, but it's at that 5% mark is what I hear.
Do you ever do you ever do you ever have any gaps of not promoting anything?
Nope. Yeah, I just have it in my system. I have my business policy that the second something gets listed, it's at 2.6% and it just stays there until it sells. And every time I do a new listing, it gets automatically uploaded at 2.6%.
Hmm, that's
Yep.
pretty cool.
Every single one of them. But yeah, I have, so again, my sourcing is limited according to my environment and my lifestyle. Now, if I was just a single guy that just wanted to be a millionaire, doesn't really matter where you live because you can just drive further to get more. Um, but so I could drive to like if I was a single guy, I would continue to live in St. George, and every single morning I would just get up at 5 o'clock and I drive to Vegas and I source for 5 hours and then drive home. That would be my day every single day. But that's not the lifestyle that I want. I want to enjoy my relationship with my wife and eventually have kids and
Yeah.
hang out and do all that stuff. So we will be moving to northern Utah to fix that because I will have more locations next to me where I can source from. But man, I don't even know what I was getting at. Oh yeah.
Sourcing.
So once I am in a spot in northern Utah where I believe I can find I don't know 40 items a day every single day, we'll say. That's where I think I'm going to eventually scale to is 40 items listing every single day, Monday through Sunday through a draft bank. So that's what 280 items a week. So I will just source 300 items a week and then list 280. At that point, I may up my listings to get things to move even faster. But yeah, where I'm at right now, I'm perfectly happy with the velocity of my sales, with how much product I'm able to source. But once I'm able to source more and more and more, you can scale and you can accept lower profits because you're getting more
Mhm.
inventory and you can scale things quicker.
Yeah, very true. That's where when I have really good weeks and I end up coming across quantities of say the same item, I love those. But I don't count those as like, oh, I'm listing 50 items because I've just listed and taken photos once. But I do want to buy more once I clear out my mess. And I think the biggest change for me is going to be storage units. And that's where I really can't be sitting down or sitting on things like I haven't here for the
Mhm.
past to present day. So, man, I'm really excited, especially with the numbers that you're saying. Like, it's doable. It's not impossible. There's people that list a lot more. Right now, I had 140 something. Now it's down to 103, and as of 3 weeks ago, I just forgot. I would manually go and type in my ad rates or promoted ad, and I
Mhm.
forgot, and it ended. And then the sales started picking up afterwards. Would you happen to know the reason why that happens? That things pick up afterwards after the ad rate campaign has expired?
I think it's just purely anecdotal. Sometimes you just can't. Maybe you feel like it happens. Maybe there is some data behind it. It'd be really difficult to find and or prove that data. I don't know. Maybe there's something in the algorithm that like does that. Maybe there isn't. Maybe it's just the human experience of emotions and stuff. I don't know.
Mm,
But that is something that I can't measure or can't find information about.
yeah.
So I tend to try not to speculate on things like that. I just try to like keep doing what's proven. But yeah, like I hear a lot of people do say that where they like, oh, when I start a promotion, my sales rip. During the promotion, it like stagnates and really falls off. And then once I take the promotion off, they rip again. I have heard that before, but I've also heard the complete opposite. So it's hard to like actually like
Mhm.
I don't know. It's difficult for
Yeah, it
me to
was pretty
answer.
good 3 weeks ago. For that week particularly, I made I think around 100 and or $1,275 and change, and
Hmm.
then after it ended, the 2 weeks up until now, out or up until 3 days ago, I was averaging 200 to $250, and then it just slowed down a little bit, but I
Yep.
again, I don't have that much items, but they are moving. when I do list stuff, and after today, I'll get back to it. It's been a busy weekend, back
Yeah.
and forth commuting, and that's part of what you said too. I wouldn't want to go back and forth from where you're at to drive several hours to one place and then come back because you're
Mhm.
commuting, and that's what 4 5 hours on the road, maybe longer.
Yeah. So if you count the time between thrift stores, when I go to Vegas and with the traffic and stuff, it's like I'm in thrift stores
Mm.
for under 2 hours and I'm on the road for over four, maybe even five. So yeah. The when I do those sourcing trips to Vegas, like so I went there this weekend. I will talk about a little later. Hit some yard sales, super worth it, but it is definitely a lot of drive time for sure.
Mm.
But yeah, no, what you were saying about the what's it called, storage units. You're gonna get into that. So with the way interest rates are right now, and with the way that my eBay business is set up, it's not it's just not like a smart move to get a business loan, because the interest rate on a business loan right now would be, even with perfect credit, would be around like 11%. Maybe you could get a 9% business loan on something under $100,000. But if you want an even lower, that would turn into a mortgage, and then it would have to be spread out over 30 years, and that would not be very smart for a business loan either. But a business contact of mine that I've done business with before, he came to me and he's like, "Hey man, I have $50,000 that I don't want to like really invest anywhere. Um, so I'd give it to you on a business loan at only 2%." And I'm like, wow, that's like almost free money that I could turn into really good money quickly. But I was thinking, if I had, and I'm probably going to do that and put it into a different business that I own. But if I had to put it into my eBay business, what would I do with that? And I was trying to think, because one of the first things that people think is, oh, well, I'll buy $50,000 worth of Amazon return pallets. I don't think that's a great idea. Oh, I would get a warehouse, but that doesn't actually add to the income of your business. So what I thought I would do was I would actually probably use that money to get a decent truck and a dump trailer, and then I would use the rest of the money to start doing storage units. And then maybe like a warehouse. Put like 1,800 of that a month toward a lease. Um, because I was thinking about that. I'm like, what, like, if someone, because a lot of people come to me and they say, "Hey, like, I just received an inheritance and I want to start eBay. What should I do?" And for those people, I definitely say, don't spend any of that money. Just, just start extremely slow, learn what actually sells. But when you're an established business, like, you can be dangerous with $20,000, $50,000, $250,000. And so within an eBay business where I currently am right now, I think that would probably be the route. Is get a dump trailer and a truck, and then I would also like, I would probably only do storage units on Saturdays, and then rent out the dump trailer between Monday through
Mm.
Friday. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. But
That's
I'm probably gonna do that loan, but I'm probably not gonna invest it into eBay.
that's really smart to bring up when the truck or the flatbed isn't trailer isn't in use,
Yeah.
it's not making you money, and it's a tool that people could use. And I want to talk
Oh
about
yeah.
that later. Some tools, people, and be throwing
Some
some
tools.
tools out there and see if you even know some of these things or not, or if you use them
Yep.
often or don't.
Uh-huh.
But one of another reseller, I haven't seen him after about a year and a half now. But on one of his lives, he was talking about how he is in San Antonio, that they don't have a bulk day, a dump day.
Yeah.
So they would rent a trailer or a vehicle to go and pick up people's stuff, and they would pay
Yep.
them to pick it up, and they would flip some of these items, but then they would actually throw it. They wouldn't throw it on the side of the road. They would do the right thing by it. And they said they were making a killing. And so their brother, him and his brothers all ended up getting in relationships and they couldn't keep up with the business. But there's opportunities out there to make a lot of money with something so simple that you could manage. And when you're not using it, like Jay just said, rent it out. And that's really smart. Really, really
Yeah.
smart.
No, yeah, that honestly could be in a 5 or 15 year plan for me. I just love business. I plan on being a serial entrepreneur, and it's good stuff. Um, I think I've really been thinking deeply about my next few huge moves. I do, and I don't want this to be a speculative podcast, but I do think that we are heading into like a recession. Not sure when it's going to happen. But just based on cycles, we're due for one. And you will experience a recycle at least every 10 years. It's usually every 5.7. But we're definitely due for one. And if we do go into one, that's where millionaires are made if you are smart with your money and your business allocation. And so I'm thinking, I'm not saying the housing market will crash. I'm not even predicting that. But if it did, if $500,000 houses are now going for 285 or 320, I'm thinking, do I want to actually, buy a few different rental properties, or do I want to like actually get a storage unit facility? I've talked about this a little bit on my channel. I don't know. I think I'm going to start talking about a little more of the other businesses that I do on this podcast. And then if people like it, I'll start talking about it a little bit more on my eBay channel. But I like to just talk about eBay stuff on my YouTube channel. I feel like I'm going to do a lot of talking this podcast. I'm sorry.
No,
But
not at all. Not at all. And you said it earlier that you're a serial entrepreneur.
yeah.
If you've been following Jay for even I've only been following Jay for a few months, and we just clicked the first time we met and every time after
Mhm.
that, and started this podcast off of good vibes, right? And just seeing like we could really mesh work together. We are complete opposites, and I'm learning to get more structured in my own life and in business. But I've mentioned that before, even on here. I could do graphic designs, I could do
Yep.
apparel. I've had the equipment before, I could get it again. I've done photography. I do quite a bit of stuff, and it's not little. I could make it a lot more than what it is. I've just been messy in my life to where I'm now realizing the potential that I could have killed it in the past and
Hmm.
been have so much more financially, not so much of physical things, but monetary wise. And just over like a month, I believe, in time frame. And these are just scattered 15 minutes, 30 minutes, him being on Cat the Nurse Flippers live. If y'all didn't see that, he brought up something. I was like, I knew there was more to Jay because there's more to us than just a reseller. And I say that strongly and I put emphasis on it every time because we are more than just somebody that thrifts. We are skilled in many different ways and we're trying to just build on one thing. You make something really good, then you add to it.
Yep.
You get really good at those two things, but you don't give up on those two things. You bring in another thing and keep going to it. But Jay was selling, I'm gonna tell him on the podcast here. When he was with Kat talking on there, he brought up that he does wholesaling to people when he buys stuff. And he kind of mentions it in the past, but I was like, I knew it because to have that much stuff, you can't just do it all yourself. You really got to network with people, which people have been asking in the comments. How do you get private sales and private picks? How do you
Hmm.
do this? And it's really as simple as just connecting like me and Jay has and talk and let people in on what you do and just tell them, hey, if you have anybody that's interested in what I do that sells stuff, like just plug my name in there. And if whatever I know about Jay and I run into somebody, it may not be for me, but I could pass them on to somebody else. That's how this works as a community. To speak our mind may not be everything what people like, but it's something you're gonna learn that may turn on another light bulb to be like, you know what, I have these other skills. I should really own them and keep them close and just build off of it on top of everything else you're already doing now.
I say one of the best ways to be an entrepreneur and to make money is to pick how much money you want to make from something, whether it's $100,000 a year or $1 million a year. And once you get to that, you hire someone to absorb some of the responsibility or a lot of the responsibility, and then add on, like you were
Mm.
saying. So if you want, well, it would be smart to get this eBay business to $100,000 or $250,000 or $500,000, and then you hire someone to do the stuff that takes the longest but makes you the least amount of money. Hire them to do the listing and the shipping, and then you go out and you do the sourcing because that's what makes you the most money. Now you're bringing all the sourcing, they're listing it, they're shipping it, they're doing all of that. That's what a true employee actually does to increase your revenue. Now you have this time to focus solely on content creation and sourcing in my case. So that's what I'm going to be doing in northern Utah. And then I will still have hours in the day that I'm like, oh, sweet, I can connect with my wife, I can go golfing, or I can start another side hustle. So what I'm thinking that I'll end up doing with this business loan that I'm considering. And then also, if we were to go into recession, I thought 2 years ago, oh sweet, I'm going to really increase my real estate portfolio if we ever have that huge dip. I thought the huge dip was coming like a year and a half ago, but now everything just keeps ripping, and it's really 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 interesting. But if we were to go into a recession, now I actually think that I would just buy some land, throw some gravel and a fence on it, get some high security. Then I would just go out and I would buy like 7 dump trailers and a couple U-Hauls and things like that. And then I would just rent out a ton of those. It's really easy to just build a quick website because
Mhm.
landscapers are always looking for a dump trailer. So like, we gotta clear out some rock. Okay, let's just rent a dump trailer for $150 today. Or we got to move a ton of tumbleweeds. Or someone is throwing away the contents of their garage, and they call it 1-800 junk removal, and they're like, yeah, that'll be $900. And they're like, oh, well, I can just rent a dump trailer for $150 and do it myself and save that money. So there's a lot of demand for dump trailers. I've actually been researching a lot into this business. I thought about it before I did eBay. Like I was actually thinking, because in my pest control business, I rented a dump trailer twice, and I'm like, oh, I should just. These are only like $6,000 used. I can just get a few used ones and then one brand new, really nice one, and then I can just rent these things out all across town. Because when I tried to rent one out, I had to call 6 different businesses to get one because all of them were out. And I'm like, okay, so clearly there's demand. But then YouTube said, hey, here's Gary Vee, and I went this direction instead. But yeah,
Yeah.
so you for your what's it called, storage units, you already have your big truck. You can get a dump trailer, use that dump trailer to bring everything to your house, keep the good stuff, throw the good stuff in the landfill, and then the days that you're not doing it, you can rent out your dump trailer, and then you can pay your truck off with just the dump trailer rentals and then some.
Yeah, and the big difference of why somebody would rent a trailer versus pay somebody to do it, the $900, like you said, compared to
Mm-hmm.
150, is the convenience of that service. Do you
Yep.
want to do it and save some money, or do you want to have somebody else taking care of it and use them, if anything, to point fingers? But that's what you're paying for is convenience
But yeah,
on that end of not being us.
if any of you guys have thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars sitting, and you're like, man, I wish that I could just find 700 profitable digital cameras, or I wish that I could just find a ton of Pyrex. I'm willing to spend $20,000 today on Pyrex for my eBay shop. Just go get 2 dump trailers and then just rent those out. Like that's honestly like that is a really really good business plan. It's like pretty. Yeah, I think it's something that I'm looking into. But there's also this quote I talk about all the time: if you chase 2 rabbits, they both get away. So that's something that I have made the business decision that I can't do something like that until I have a high level manager over another business that I can
Mhm.
delegate the majority of that business or even all of it to. But yeah, reselling.
Not silly at all. It's man, I really wish I knew at least just a little bit of what I know now
Hmm.
years ago. Even when I was in the military, I wish I knew about being more of an entrepreneur because I traveled the world. I could have picked stuff even before like Good One stuff, but I could have been picking since 99, gone to Korea. I could have found wholesalers for clothing brands because I was always into this stuff. I was always
Hmm.
around it. It wasn't until later when things happened when I started getting into printing apparel. The only reason I did it is because I was worked a year straight for this time in Hawaii, weekends working, being in for being at the company from like 4:30 a.m. My platoon sergeant hated me and would keep me there until 11 p.m. So by the time I got home, which was an hour away, I was just walking in the door, stuffing my safe face while I'm walking to the shower, still chewing on my food, washing my body, falling in the bed. About two,
Hmm.
3 hours later, I'm up because they want me there. There goes that other hour. So when a new first sergeant came in, a new boss, they said, "Look, I don't like this logo. Anybody who creates the logo and wins this art competition is going to get 4 days off." And I'm like, "I'm going to win this regardless. I have no worries about it. I felt that good." And I ended up winning it. So when I got that 4 days off, I was so relieved. Finally had a day off. I was married at the time too. They said, "Oh, now that you're back, now you have to catch up on the work that you missed on," because nobody could do what I was doing in the training room and memorandums and stuff at the time. So they're like, "Now you got to go figure out how to make t-shirts." So I
Hmm.
went to this screen printing company across the street that was doing them for all of the military stuff in Schofield Barracks. And then they broke it down to me. The lady said, "Look, this is how much your design's going to cost to illustrate it. This is the tools that we're going to need for screens and the process and the manual labor. And then that's not even the t-shirts, and you have to buy so much in bulk per t-shirt. And this is going to be around $1,300." And I'm like, just for this drawing? They're like, there's more to it. But as they broke it down, it gave me a light bulb. If they're charging around $175 to redraw something, and I'm the artist, I could learn how to draw with new tools that I'm going to end up learning, and I did later on when I went to college. But all these things were like, man, I wish I knew this and
Yeah.
thought about more about branding and clothing, how I could do this myself and make money. The middleman makes more money than the person that
Oh
actually
yes.
wants to design.
I'll share a story about that too. So also a few like 6 or 7 years ago, I sold blue light blocking glasses. I would just get them off Alibaba for anywhere from 10 cents to $1.50. I experimented a ton of different models. I think I ended up landing the ones where I would pay 78 cents per. And then I sold a lot of those online and on Shopify. And then I also just went to gas stations, said, hey, I talked to the owner, manager, took my way up to the decision maker. And then I would start selling those blue light blocking glasses in gas stations. Then one of the gas stations said, hey, we need shirts. Do you do shirts? And I didn't, but I said, yeah, I can get you guys some shirts. How many shirts do you want? And so they're like, well, we want to do 1,200 shirts. We're gonna sell them for $29.99. So we'll give you, um, I think we ended on $15.99 a shirt. So they're willing to only make like $9. So I made more, right? But I didn't know how to make the shirts or do the designs. But luckily, I had a contact who does shirts, and then she also does logo design. So I'm like, okay, sweet. Can you make me this many shirts for $7 a shirt? And she's like, sure. So yeah, so then I just did 1,200 shirts at $7 each. That's what, like $9,000. I gave her $9,000. She gave me the shirts, and then I gave the shirts to the gas station, and they gave me $16 times 1,200 shirts. So they gave me like $28,000 or something like that. So it's like, boom. So the person who did the shirts made 9,000, but they had costs too. So they probably only made like 3 grand. I made 17,000, and then them who the gas station who sold the shirts probably didn't sell all of them at $29.99. Had to do discounts, things like that. Pay employees, keep the lights on. The person who did the shirts for me made 3,000. The gas station probably made 3 to 6,000, and I made 17,000. So like the middleman truly does always win. But yeah, and
Yeah,
that's also just like I had no idea how to do shirts, but I knew how to just like talk to people and get them to like do it for me, and then just be the person. That's what we do in reselling. I've never made an Oakley sunglasses, but I sell Oakley sunglasses for tens of thousands of dollars every single year because I just find them and sell them.
man, I'm telling you, networking, when you hear something and you know people, you don't have to be the one that even knows how to make t-shirts. You just got to know the person that does.
Yep.
When I was in college, wow. When I was in college, I did the same thing. I was creating my own t-shirt, went to a company, and I'm gonna meet this guy, Kai, out in Hawaii when we go at the end of this month. I've been getting it wrong the whole time. I'll be going there at the end of this month and coming back on the 6th, I believe. But when I wanted to get stickers and t-shirts made, I went to him. So when I was wearing it at school, learning how to do graphic designs. So as I'm learning literally in college, I was applying it to what's in Hawaii. It's an island. I could figure this out and really hone in on networking with the community. So as I was making t-shirts, rocking them at school, people were like, I like that design. Can you make me shirts? So I would just double up on the price and say, all right, then I got to charge you for the graphic
Mhm.
design. I wouldn't do any of it. I was still sending it to the printer, and
Yep.
they let me in. And luckily, Kai was like, "There's a little bit more to you. Come inside and let me show you what else we do." And he broke down every machine of what they could do, what the prices are. It wasn't like he was holding anything or feeling skeptical about me. So it's been really good to be that kind of approachable in a way to where they're inviting me as I stepped into their world and did business with them. So yeah, it's networking, communicating, getting to know people. You have no idea. I bet there's a lot of people I hope right now listening, and these pictures of people are like there are people that I could reach out to, and I've been trying to get this done by myself. You could only get so far by yourself until you actually need help on for things at times.
So I have this business mentor that I talk to often. He's really cool. He charges like a lot of money per hour just to be talked to. But I coached rugby back in the day, and I coached his son. And he would him and I would talk business all the time. And then he's like an online business entrepreneur coach, and he charges people like $900 an hour to talk to him and stuff. And he's just like, yeah, man, just talk to me anytime. Let's do it. So he gives me really good advice, and he always says, he's like, outside of his coaching calls, he's just like, the best entrepreneurs spend the majority of their day on the phone and answering emails and just like connecting with people, talking to people, leveraging other people's skills to get tasks and
Mm,
projects done and paying them appropriately. And that's you know being a solopreneur is tough. Doing everything yourself, you can make a lot of money. I'll use this vague word. You can use a lot of money as a solopreneur, but when you incorporate contacts and employees and all these other people, that's when your income can quintuple. So that's the stage that I'm trying to move to right now. But yeah, sourcing. You said you had a pretty big week. Did you even do any sourcing, or how'd that look?
it was a waste of time. I headed out to a community yard sale yesterday. All the
Yeah.
gates were closed, and it was a big community yard sale. All the gates were
Uh-huh.
closed. I made sure to look at the listing. They had the signs. I couldn't get in. There was no cars coming in for me to trail behind them, and wedge my way in. But I was like, "Ah, let me reach out to somebody who reached out to me a couple of days before that, from an ex coworker of mine that knows that I do reselling, and said, "Hey, he has a cousin messaged me on Facebook that has 100,000 worth of items, and he's trying to sell a storage unit for 6,500." And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "That sounds a little too much to 100,000
six point
value."
five percent. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, let me go check this out. It was messy, but he has quite a bit of stuff. I didn't see two of his storage units, and what I was hoping to look at from what he told me over the phone was he had 300 pounds of vintage costume jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't know if it was quality, if it was actually modern, because some people think everything's vintage. Some people think, oh, it's costume jewelry is valuable because they've seen a listing online using Google
Yeah.
Lens. So I had no idea what I was looking at until I got there, and it was little bits and pieces all over the place. And for the prices he was giving me, I was like, it doesn't make sense. I told him this. I was like, look, it doesn't make sense you wanting to sell your storage units, all three of them, to me for $6,500, but then you're gonna charge me for this little plate type of bowl $40. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, the math don't add up to me. You're pretty much saying everything is less than $1 for what you have, but you're charging me $5 for a cap that is broken in half on the bill. And I
Yeah.
wasn't trying to give him a hard time. I was just trying to let him understand, like, next time, business hasn't worked out yet. What ended up turning 30 minutes ended up being actually 4 hours. And I'm just like, man, is this guy ever going to find us? I finally cut the cord off and said, look, this is taking too long. Just have this stuff ready next time because I would like to do business with you. You have really good stuff from what I see, but that's not what I came here for.
Yeah.
And I could tell some friends, but you have to have this together because when we come in, we really just want to look at what you're telling us and you're advertising to us and buy there. So I ended up wasting like 6 hours from the driving to community yard, so it not working out, trying to get in there, to 4 hours with this guy, which took about 30 minutes to drive there and then drive back. But what that ended up doing was really making me aware that time, yes, is valuable, but
Mm-hmm.
within that 6 hours, I could have invested $200 in a storage unit or less and have that cleared out and done and have something to bring back that's going to be worth me and my business of what I'm trying to do. So it was an eye opener in so many different levels of time and money because I did buy $200 worth of stuff, but at the same time, I'm like, I really don't need it, but I know I could sell it and make a profit with private sales that I've been having more of. So piecing it, but it was pretty irritating, but it was a lesson learned.
Lesson learned. Yeah, sourcing was really fun for me this weekend. I
I don't
went
want
I
to
went
hear it.
down to Vegas. I went down to Vegas. No, but I don't want to give too much away because this will all be in my
Ooh.
picking videos. But my wife will be making her first appearance on the channel, just a little bit. Um, she came sourcing with me this week in Vegas for a few yard sales, and then I met up with Archie Biscuit Butt. But yeah, hopefully I don't get too emotional here. But my wife has been playing D1 soccer for the last 4 years, and she just got an injury that ended her soccer career a little early. So one of the reasons why she hasn't been on the channel ever is because of NIL deals. Just the NCAA is super weird with just advertising and how you can and can't make money because you're on
Mm.
full ride scholarship and things like that. And so because I'm an S corporation, I'm an entity. If she was appeared on my YouTube channels, it was just all weird. So we just decided, you know what, there's too much weird stuff, so you're just not going to be on the YouTube channel at all. And other things like, you know, commenters are ruthless, and I don't want to put my wife in the hellfire that I've been receiving much more recently over the last few weeks. But it's all
Wow,
good. But yeah,
that
so
sucks.
she's gonna be on the channel this week in a picking video. She's a good picker, man. She found some really good Birkenstocks that I
Mhm.
missed. And then we got some really good like Gucci makeup and things like that too at a yard sale. So that's gonna
Gucci.
be sweet. But yeah, so she's gonna be on some videos in the future. Nothing like huge. She's not gonna be like on every single video or even in big portions of videos, just because I do want to protect my wife from you guys. You guys are commenters can be really terrible, and I don't want to put my wife through a lot of that stuff. But yeah, she's gonna make appearances on the channel here and there. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
And
folks,
if
if you
you guys
ever
want to
have
support, if you guys want to show your support to my wife, comment in the chat, put sending love so she can see. That'd be cool. Yeah.
sending love, I've only seen Jay's wife before we went live, probably a week ago or something, and she was in like 3 seconds, like hi, I'm bye,
Uh huh.
in and out. But I could see like she's like you could tell she's sporty, like she
Yeah.
looks very athletic,
She's
and
way
soccer
she's
makes a
way
lot of
more
sense. I
fit than
think
I am.
yeah, she is, folks.
Yeah.
How is that going, by the way, for your 1,000 club?
Oh, it's going good. Yep, been working
Going good?
out 5 times a week for the last 3 weeks since my surgery has allowed it. It's going good.
Yeah, surgery. You got to be careful with the recovery. Yeah, I've been exercising a lot more lately too, and
Yeah.
it's been good. I feel good. Things are coming together, and things do take time. And when you start seeing things like not seeing my clutter in the hallway, to like waking up to not seeing it, and then going to bed not seeing it, like I feel so relieved. It's so good to feel like have this cleanse of cleaning up after myself finally, and the which should have never had happened. So folks, don't let your stuff catch up to you. Don't over thrift. Really take advantage of keeping up with what you're purchasing or what you're working on. It doesn't even have to be thrifting.
Yeah. But yeah, sourcing this weekend was really fun. Archie is the first person from YouTube land that has met my wife in person, so he was pretty pumped about that. But yeah, we got a ton of really good stuff. I already posted this on Instagram, so this we got some nice vintage receivers, and then a pretty modern receiver. This was only $5, $5, $10, and $10. And there's that Yamaha one goes for like 3 or 400. You want to look out for those vintage ones that actually work. Got to make sure that they actually work. But even for parts, that thing would probably go for 150 bucks
Mm. What
or
was
something
it?
like
What
that.
was the brand name?
Yamaha, it's the CR420.
Yeah. Because of your electronics, the love that you have for electronics, when I did go thrifting just maybe 4 days ago, I did look at the electronics. I was like,
Uh
let
huh.
me let me feel and be like J Ride, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
find some stuff. I didn't find nothing, but it was fun looking at it, and I was just like, I don't have the space for it, and it's not worth getting. But I used to love electronics when I was into it, and I'll get back to it. But again, my space is something I'm working on right now, so it
Hmm.
I've let me held myself back because I don't have the space for it.
Yeah. Got to get that space. But yeah, another thing that has been going well is
I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask.
Sports cards. So my grandmother-in-law is buying a ton of basketball cards, and she wants me to sell them for her. And so I'll just be listing these, and then I'll just be taking out taxes, and then just giving her the rest of the money. She's been pulling some pretty dang good cards. This is a numbered to 10. So there's only 10 of these cards in the world. And this is a rookie for the Heat. His name is Jaime Jaquez Jr. He wasn't
Mhm.
supposed to be very good. He was projected to really just sit the bench for his first 2 or 3 years, then maybe get 5 to 10 minutes a game for 5 or 6 years, and then probably be out of the league. But he is playing phenomenally well as a rookie. So this is like a $500 card. So I'll be listing that for 500. He hasn't been playing as well just in the last 2 weeks, so it has gone down
Mhm.
in value a little bit. I might not be able to get even 400. Yeah, that's fun. And then yeah, she's just been getting a ton of Victor Wembanyama cards. Victor Wembanyama. We're hoping that he can help the sports card market go back up, just like Zion did.
No pressure.
And then Zion crushed it, just absolutely slaughtered it. But yeah, Sourcing's been really good. Um, and then I just did another video because I had a really good day at the thrift store the other day. I got this Vitamix. The cup is right here too.
I seen it
Um,
in your TikTok.
yeah, for $12, and I got another Bosch
Dull hairs.
for $15. It was a really good sort. Yeah, sourcing this week was great. Yeah, it's going good.
Folks, in the chat, let us know what you bought this weekend and use the hashtag doll hairs.
Doll hairs.
Yeah, hashtag doll hairs.
And then let's check out some sales from this week. Pulling up the handy dandy computadora. Oh, also one of the yard sales that I went to this weekend. This will be in one of my videos. I did the whole transaction in Spanish. It was awesome, and she gave me a
Wow.
discount. She gave me a discount because I speak Spanish. Let's
You know, I've
see.
been trying to get Carrie American Arbitrage to do that for the longest time, and he keeps saying, "Oh yeah, I should do that," because he's pretty good at speaking Spanish as well.
He has a
He
degree in it.
does
So
only have
then,
like 2 or 3 degrees or something like that.
uh,
But J Wright has more businesses than Carrie has degrees. Just saying. But I've been trying to get him to do that. He hasn't, but he does talk Spanish when we hang out every now and again. It's been a while, but when we got thrifting at the flea market, he will speak Spanish, but he never has it recorded. I'm like, "Hey, these are those moments. Like, let your degree shine. You know,
mhm,
it's just if not. It's just paper on the wall, if it's even on the wall."
yeah, man, I sold some big boys this week. Some big boys. We sold a Kohler sink, Kohler, Kohler. We sold that for $187, and it's like a bathroom vanity sink. Then we also sold a Bose subwoofer. Um, People always ask what they should do for shipping. They paid $70 for the subwoofer and $110 for the shipping. So people just pay what they're willing to pay for the item. So like a lot of people are like, oh well, should I do 150 free shipping? And it's like, no, just like whatever the total price is, whatever the total price someone is willing to pay for an item, that's what they'll pay for it. So, you know, people will pay $2 plus $168 shipping if they're willing to pay $170. That's just how it goes. But yeah, shipping that was a beast. I also sold a huge receiver that weighed 40 pounds. I sold that for $80 plus $60 in shipping, so it ended up being over $145. Yeah, people pay shipping. Put
They
up
do
good,
pay shipping.
put up good quality items, and people will buy them.
Yeah, quality items. People will buy them. When
True.
I worked at the post office, oh my goodness, this was back in 2016. But I remember one guy, I had a little lady that worked with me. I think we called her Nina. She was older, like a grandma. But I remember a guy coming up and she's like, "Hey, the first class shipping at the time, it was like 475." And he starts waving this little thing around. He's like, "Oh my god!" He's like, shipping weight costs more than what the item is inside there. And I was like, that's not in our control. This is what it costs to ship.
Yeah.
And now the prices are going up. And you mentioned FedEx, and that reminds me of a reminding me of, I think yesterday or the day before, Art of Resale complaining about FedEx prices
Hmm.
that they're saying it was wrong and he was being charged, and not
Yeah.
just once but several
Yeah.
times. Is like that's horrible. I don't use FedEx too much, but when I do, I've never had problems with them, but it's been a while too since I've used them at least a month. But it's usually the bigger, heavier items. They're FedEx home ground, something like that.
So I'm going to my shipping reports here in good old Pirate Ship.
I do
So
like pirate ship.
this year I've done last year I didn't use Pirate Ship for the whole year, but I did for the majority of the year. I paid $32,715 in shipping labels, and UPS charged me an additional $716.69 and that's from being off by an inch or being off by 2 inches. So you definitely want to make sure when I do UPS now, I always, if something is 14 by 19 by 6, I put 15 by 20 by 7. So I add an inch to every single direction, because what we do is we get a 60% off rate on Pirate Ship. So if it costs $100 to ship something, if we go through Pirate Ship, it's $40. And then if we miss the measurement by 1 inch, UPS will charge the full retail. So they'll charge you an additional $60. And a lot of times that's way more than even your profit on the item. So you got to make sure that you're actually putting the correct dimensions, because yeah, I gave an extra $716, which when you think about it, I spent $33,000 on shipping, so that's not a huge expense. But $717 is a lot of money. So you got to make sure that you
Imagine
have
how much
the right
thrifted
dimensions.
items you could get for 700.
Yeah,
Know what
exactly.
I'm saying?
But yeah, yeah, and that's just man, $33,000 in shipping for about 9 months of just eBay orders. It's good stuff. Could you imagine
Impressive.
what some of could you imagine what some of the big guys do? like there's guys there's companies that are selling 20,000 books every day. you know, just imagine what the shipping cost on all that is. Holy cow!
Jeez. But
But
you
yeah,
know what's wild
Pirate
about
Ship said I saved $19,308.55. So if I would have went to the USPS or the UPS stores, I would have been charged about $50,000 in shipping. But because I used Pirate Ship, I only spent 32,700. So the e-commerce discount rates are awesome. A lot of people still pay full price at USPS, and it's wild. It's wild. Don't do that.
I don't see how people wait in line over there, man.
Yeah, don't do
But
that.
to take it back a few steps, Jay Ray was talking about the dimensions and having to round up. But even on USPS's, even say flat rate boxes or even the OSHU boxes, the measurements aren't ever to an exact inch, is
No.
always a little bit over an inch.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how they are saying you got to be by the inch and be precise, but even their boxes aren't even precise. And
Yeah.
no matter what box you get anywhere, I have yet, after 6+ years of shipping, if you order on Amazon, any place, any website, it's never, the boxes are never
Oh yeah, no,
the measurements
never go by
as
the inch.
advertised,
Well, and
false advertised.
especially because sometimes so this will fit with a ton of bubble wrap on it. It'll fit in a 10 by 10 by 10 box, but you want it
Cubicle.
to fit snug in the box. So like when you put it in, it like actually inflates the box sometimes to 11 inches instead of 10. So never trust the measurements on the box. Make sure you measure them. And if something is 11 1/4 inch, then I round that up to 12 and then I add an inch. So if it was 11 1/4 inches, then I would put 13 inches, because you always round up to the nearest inch, and then I add an inch on top of that. And if it's like a subwoofer or a huge receiver like this, I actually add 2 inches to every side.
Mhm.
Because it costs me an extra $3.40 usually, but I'm not gonna get hit with an extra $68 to ship a Bose subwoofer to New York. No chance.
Or Alaska. I just got an order not too
No,
long ago.
I'm only lower 48. I have a last. I finally turned off Puerto Rico too because my return rate. I forgot how I got here. I think you can Google it, but my return rate for the lower 48 states is like 4.5%, and then my return rate from Puerto Rico is 38%. So I'm not shipping to Puerto Rico anymore. Those guys
Hmm.
always start a return.
I've only had one guy from Puerto Rico, which I've had many orders go there. But one guy, it started with the comments I think we brought up a while back, the crazy comments you get about items. And the guy ended up buying it. And then as soon as it got there, it was like, hey, this doesn't fit, this doesn't whatever, making excuses. I was like, I gave you everything you wanted. Like you're paying for shipping. Because at the time I had it to where the customer would pay for shipping back. I ended up changing it sometime after that to where now I pay for the return, which I don't have very much items that really get returned.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of odd that way, but yeah.
Have you seen an increase in sales from that? Do you think?
I believe so. I
Yeah.
believe I did,
Yeah. So
but
I always say like tailor your business to the customer, not to the algorithm. What does the customer want? Because a lot of people are like, oh well, if you want to be in favor with the algorithm, and if you want more sales, you have to do free returns because that's what eBay wants. But the algorithm on eBay is to serve the customer, so it's not what eBay wants. eBay would love less returns. eBay would
mm,
love to not refund fees and to do all that. But it's what the customer wants. The customer wants free returns if anything happens. And so if me and Sunny have the exact same item, exact same price, exact same handling time, exact same condition, but I have free returns and Sunny has buyer paid returns, mine's gonna sell first, and then Sunny's is gonna sell because more people will have confidence in mine because it has free returns.
that's if those are the smart shoppers that are looking and
Yeah,
bargain shopping of what benefits them the best. If
yeah,
not, sure, I'm going to get somebody that comes across using that example that sees mine as exactly what they want and is good, but not paying attention to the returns. Who's that going to cost if something does happen?
yeah.
So you never know.
Dude, are you gonna watch the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight?
No, hell no, man. It's rigged. It's all for money. I'd rather go invest time on thrifting and listing and family.
What? Oh, dude, so it's gonna be Netflix's first live stream, and I'm invested in Netflix, so they're sending out emails to their investors. They're super pumped about this. So, I think that the Netflix stock is going to go way up the day after the fight, or considerably down. If they hit on the viewership numbers that they're projecting, then I think Netflix is going to get a nice little boost. But if they miss, I think it's going to go way down. But yeah, I was super excited about it. I'm like, wow, this is gonna be dope, because everyone hates Jake Paul, and then a lot of people like also hate Mike Tyson, but they like hate Jake Paul more, and they want to see like a professional just really show this YouTuber what business actually looks like. But man, their gloves are extra padded. They're wearing headsets, and there's no winner unless by knockout. And so it's like they're not even going to be like, oh, winner by decision. It's just a fight. Like it's not. It's dumb. I'm still gonna watch it though. It's gonna be pretty dope.
I'll
Um,
probably find it on TikTok.
I can't. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before. I don't want to be that guy that just repeats everything over and over again. But when I did Vine back in the day, everyone remembers Vine, the 6-second videos.
Yeah, and Lemur.
Yep, Lemur.
Yeah, Lemur was like Vine.
Lemur might have been when I was on the mission when I didn't have any social media for
Maybe
2 years.
it only lasted a little bit.
But yeah, so I was pretty heavy onto Vine, and at one point on Twitter, this was like I would tell girls this all the time. I'm like, yeah, Jake Paul and Logan Paul both follow me on Twitter, and I'd like show them and stuff because they actually did. Because I was doing Vines, and I was they had millions of followers, and I was starting to get up into the hundreds of thousands and stuff. And so like I like talked with King Batch and the yeah, cool, whatever. But yeah, so like they have by now forgotten about me completely for sure. But like at one point I was followed by Jake and Logan Paul on Vine and Twitter. It was pretty sweet. It
Oh, man.
was pretty rad. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm still gonna watch the fight. But it's definitely gonna be. I don't know. Maybe they'll surprise us, and it will actually be super entertaining and super rad. But just with all the rules and things they've set in place, like it's definitely. I think it's in the contract. Like, hey, Mike, don't punch Jake really hard right here. You know,
Don't
like
punch him in the jewels. Yeah.
uh, well, I mean, can't do that anyway, but it's like stay away from his jaw. Like, make sure you don't actually land any punches on the jaw because that will knock him out. And that, I think it's going to be pretty scripted.
Yeah. But oh man, it comes down to hate watchers too, what you just said a moment ago. A lot of
Yeah,
hate
exactly.
watchers, just like Mayweather. A lot of people want to see Mayweather lose, which is why a lot of people invested in watching
And
because
a lot of people want
they
to see
want.
Logan lose too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh huh.
It, it's
Yeah.
unfortunate that's the way things are, but when it comes to business, it works out and money talks. And though with Netflix, there's a lot more than it just being a fight. There's all these promotions and businesses, sponsorships that if it
Hmm.
does play out, like you're saying, it could be pretty damn huge. And that would be good for you and those who are invested into it and not just emotionally invested, but actually invested business into their business.
Hmm.
That'd be huge.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. We'll see what happens. But yeah, my wife. So now that she's no longer a D1 athlete, she's decided that she's a marathon runner. Um, So every Sunday we go over and we eat at we have a Sunday meal with my parents who live 12 miles away. So guess what we're doing today?
You're going to run over there and then eat?
I'm driving to my parents and she's gonna run to my parents.
I've been
And if
wanting to
she
get into like the small
12
ones because my
miles.
back acts up every now and then. But
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna do a walk. One of my friends asked me, Carrie the Desert Mermaid, to do a walk with her. So I'll ask her today, see what it is, and put it up in my community tab, which I'm pretty happy because my daily vlog this
Hmm.
morning hit 1,000 subscribers. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty stoked.
My
I mean,
wife who doesn't watch reselling content, but she's super invested in me, who's super invested in the community. I talk about it all the time, and she like
yeah.
watches videos with me every once in a while. She's like, didn't that like Kevin and Carrie, didn't they do like a meetup, and didn't like that Harry Tornado guy do like some sort of like get together with resellers? I'm like, yeah, yeah, they both did. And she's like, well, because you guys are like the reseller island, like you guys should do a cruise meetup. And I'm like, I mean, that would be rad. I don't know how many of our followers would want to actually pay for a cruise, but like it would be really sweet to like have a meetup where we all just like hang out on like a cheap cruise and just that'd be pretty
I
cool.
I know of Katie and Vicky who started the Boss Reseller Remix event here in Vegas.
Yeah,
They just had a cruise about a month or two ago.
really, did it
Um,
go well? Like a
I
reseller
didn't really
cruise?
talk to them about it. I didn't ask, or
We'll have
maybe
to
it's
ask.
coming up, one of them. But I don't know if there's going to be too much events this year. I know the Boss Reseller Remix won't be this year; it's going to be next year, spring, because that's when it originally started.
Yeah.
There isn't a FlipCon anymore. They have a new owner. Um, I don't know if they're going to do that this year or next year. Who knows? But then, uh, Chris, Flip the World, I jumped into his whatnot yesterday, and they said he's having one in Houston, Texas, in August. So
Oh, that's cool.
I am gonna try to make that one. And plus, I'm from Texas, and all my family's there just about.
Yeah, makes a lot more sense for you too.
Yeah.
But yeah, comment below. Like, is that even like in the realm of possibility? Um, like, would you
Get your
guys
passports.
hop on a cruise? Yeah, get passport. Well,
I
we
need to
could
get
do.
mine as well.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Or like, we just sold a basketball card for $8. We're rich.
Ballin'.
But yeah, I don't know, because like that would be a pretty expensive cover charge just to do an event, but it would be really cool. But then I don't know, like there'd be a lot of liability and stuff on that. So you and I would have to like completely disassociate from the passengers on our like event. I don't know. There'd be a lot of legality things that we'd have to jump over, but we could all just like take a cruise as friends, talk about reselling a little bit,
Yeah.
meet,
Hang out.
yeah. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, well, we discussed beforehand we wanted to just have the podcast a little shorter. Let us know, is 1 hour cool? Is 90 minutes your favorite? Would you guys like us to go for 2 3 hours? We're capable of doing that and doing whatever you guys would like. Is 20 minutes the best? podcast length is an hour, 2 hours. Let us know below. If you made it this far, you'll be able you're kind of like our most like engaged followers. So you guys will be able to give us the best advice. An hour, 3 hours, 90 minutes. I personally like 90 minutes, but yeah, let us know below. What do you guys think?
Yeah, let us know. Let us know your thoughts, folks.
Yep.
And also we do have a Facebook group. It is growing. There's a lot more activity every
Yep.
week, just about is building up.
We're
It's really
hoping every
exciting.
day.
This channel is growing. This daily vlog. Well, my channel is growing, but everything we're working on is growing towards something just bigger and trying to bring community along and letting people in on us and what we think, and then also what you think with your feedback of what we say and how it processes through your mind. There's some wild comments, folks. I will say we are people, we are human. Be respectful, be kind. We do our best to do the same thing. Some things are touchy because it's business, and you may do things one way and we do things another. But both of us have said this before. You got to do what works for you, right? This is just how we roll, and we're learning from other people as well. But we also learn a lot from you, and appreciate all of your time, all of your feedback. Um, we it would be hard not to have you supporting with us to keep us motivated. It'll be just talking to the wind. So thank you. I really appreciate you all.
Tony, the comments are going to get more and more wild from this point. As we
Oh
go,
yeah,
they're just going to get worse. So we're
yeah.
good. We got
Please hurt
this.
my feelings. Don't. I'm very sensitive. I'm very sensitive.
But no, yeah, we really appreciate you guys coming out, hanging out on the island with us. See you guys next time. Adios.
Hashtag doll hairs.
Doll hairs.